Welcome to the Honest Healing Podcast, real talk for cycle breakers. I'm your host, Katie Delamon. If you're ready to speak up, set boundaries, heal your nervous system, and build better relationships, you're in the right place. Because you don't need to be perfect to heal. You just need to be honest. Let's go. Welcome to episode 17 of the Honest Healing Podcast, Dancing with Cancer. Support and healing for families navigating cancer. In today's episode, I'm joined by Hayley Smith, who is the co-founder of Cancer Dancer. It is a new approach to cancer support and healing to help families who are supporting someone they love. When Hayley found out that her 22-month-old child had stage 4 cancer, she was given a pamphlet. This was the same thing that happened to her when she was 14 years old, being told that her father had cancer, assigned a social worker, and given a pamphlet. She thought, how have we not progressed on helping families who are supporting someone they love go through cancer? It has been this many decades and we're still just giving people pamphlets. Is that how we're helping people heal and feel supported? In this episode, we dive into why Hayley is so passionate, or maybe the universe chose her specifically for this cause. 3 out of 4 of her grandparents had cancer. Both of her parents, her dad died at the age of 44, and now her 22-month-old child was diagnosed a few years ago. She's in remission, but she had stage 4 eye cancer and had one of her eyes removed and is living in remission with her baby today. She has an incredible, inspiring, and empowering story. I personally know Hayley, which is a treat. She's an amazing human. So let's just jump right in. Well, welcome to the podcast, Hayley. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, so good to have you. And so we're actually very good friends for many, many years. And I know you as a kinesiologist and a Kundalini teacher now, but you are also co-owner of this new business called Cancer Dancer. Do you want to take a moment to just talk about what this is and what it means to you and maybe where it came from?
Sure. Well, upon receiving my baby daughter's diagnosis of cancer, there wasn't much emotional support offered by the medical system. It's up to social workers to be able to link you in with services, which are pretty much all foundations, volunteer-based charities. And I was really surprised that there wasn't really anything on offer. And I was shocked, really, not surprised. I feel like that feels a little bit light because my parents were diagnosed when I was 13, my mum 14, my dad, and there was nothing then. And I really felt, well, where's the progress and how's it been made in the medical system? And I got this pamphlet, and that was pretty much it. And it's very informative, but you're just in this, it's like you're in the eye of a storm, and everything is just happening internally, and it feels like you're locked out of this outside world. And so navigating that was so difficult. So by creating the foundations of Cancer Dancer, is really about people being able to understand their own nervous system and to be able to navigate their own way through their own journey, as everyone's journey is completely different. However, we are wired the same. So using those principles allows people to unlock tools that they hold inside themselves through breathwork, meditation, mantra, movement. And just quick 2 examples would be when you're in fight or flight, your body isn't feeling safe. And so to be able to find safety in movement without going to the extreme, to be able to downregulate your nervous system. Or when you're going into freeze and fawn, your body is really challenged by feeling threatened in stillness. So even though you're still, you might feel like you're dying, you can't move, you're trapped. So being able to find your way of safety and stillness is the other key component. So there's just all these ways that you can, because you don't have time to go book, have therapy, all these things. I mean, your world is just sped up. You're in this vortex. So it's really just about being able to manage each day at a time.
Yeah, exactly. And so for those of people in my audience who don't know your story, cancer has touched your life many, many times. And so you said when you were 13 and 14, your dad was diagnosed and your mom was diagnosed. And then just recently, a few years ago, if you want to go into a bit of your story with your daughter and that whole dance with cancer. So just to give the audience a little background on why cancer is such an important topic for you.
Well, in the hospital, the social worker, oncology social worker, asked about if either of us had a history of cancer in the family. And 3 out of 4 of my grandparents had cancer, both my parents and now my daughter at that stage. And I had never thought about it before because I was in flight. I was too busy running from it for all that time. It was, yeah, so it was really big. And she was like, Hayley, this is really quite unusual. Um, I think you might have a lot of trauma around cancer. And well, you know me, I've been working on myself for years, doing all these healing modalities, trainings, everything. If someone had asked me, I thought I had processed the trauma. But in hindsight, I mean, so my daughter was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. It happened really quickly. She had no symptoms. So there was nothing, no kind of big build up or anything. I just happened to be playing with her on the bed. She was laying on her back and I was tickling her belly, blowing raspberries. The sun went down really quickly and I turned the light on. And because the room was dark and then the light went on, I could just see in her eye that her pupil looked transparent. And I just got this huge kick in the guts. And I just knew something was really wrong. And I raced her downstairs. I showed my mum and my partner, and they couldn't see anything. It was different lighting. So you need specific lighting to be able to see it. And yeah, I took her to an optometrist, a pediatric optometrist, and they said I had to go straight to emergency. And it was super unexpected. It was my 40th birthday that weekend. I had people flying in. We had this villa booked. We had this luxury weekend. No one's seen each other. It was COVID. It was just, and I don't know, like in some ways, like the universe planned to have the right people there to look after my family, and all of these things happened so that with my partner, I could go to hospital, but then we had to go straight down to Brisbane and we had to go straight away. We had to pack. So I was meant to be packing for this weekend away, and I was packing to go into the Ronald McDonald House and stay in the hospital. And it was just, yeah, it just didn't slow down. It just sped up and sped up and sped up. And just, I walked into a room and there was so many specialists in the room. You know what it's like to get in to see a doctor these days. And I was just so overwhelmed, not knowing how they all got there so quickly, and they were introducing themselves and they were the top of the ranks, and it was like, why are all these people here? It wasn't like they were students or anything like that. And they were just, my partner and I were just standing there, and they would step forward, ask a question, step aside, then the next one, then the next one, then the next one. Like they were all coming from their different fields, angles, had different questions, and it just felt like it just got bigger and bigger.
Yeah. And how old again was she when she was diagnosed?
22 months old.
Wow. Yeah. And like you said, there was no symptoms, none at all. And so How did these experiences reshape your relationship with life and healing? Because, like you said, you thought you had worked through a lot of things, and we're all healing at any given moment, no matter how old we are or how evolved we think we are. But how did this especially, probably humble you in a ways that you never thought were possible?
It definitely humbled me because I didn't know it was so there. It was stored in my nervous system. It was stored in my body. It was so I went into shock in the hospital. And
Mm.
um, I actually felt like the whole world got so cold, and I was shaking, and they were giving me warm towels and cups of tea, and I'd been in the shower ready to like, and it's like I couldn't feel warm. I felt like my body was shutting down. I actually felt or thought I was going to die. It was, yeah, and I started, I don't know what made me think of it, because I was just like, I couldn't get, and it was more the feeling. It was the feeling. It was just all these feelings in my body, and it was just coming, something told me just to do this diaphragmatic breathing. And so the breath work, at some point, I must have switched and regulated, because I woke up and I felt warm. I was like, I'm warm, I'm safe, I'm not going to die, I'm warm. And it made me realize that even though I didn't feel like I had any control over what was happening, I can control some things through my breath and through my mind and through my thoughts and choices. And I felt like that choice in that moment. And so it's just, I think it's like shaping. It's like you asked how it's kind of shaped me. I like the word because it is just like a constant like molding, redefining, getting more definition around everything.
Mm. And so, how did you navigate the emotional duality of being a daughter, caring for your daughter, and then also caring for yourself? Being the mother to yourself at the same
Well,
time.
being the mother, I think self-care.
Mm.
Self-care is just the the only thing we can kind of control. Like, it doesn't feel like you can control much. And it is those little choices. I think everyone suffers if I don't do self-care, myself included. Like, it's a very obvious reflection. Um,
We co-regulate as animals. Like whatever you put out is what you're gonna get, and same thing.
I don't know where they get it from.
The apple doesn't fall too far from the tree, as they say.
uh, so yeah, there's definitely that. I mean, I would say that's the only way I do it. And my kids, they see me chanting, meditating, they join in, journaling, going for a walk in nature. Like, these are all standard practices. Like, it's very normal. It's normalized here.
Yeah, exactly. It's normalized to do these things that are seen as weird or only done behind closed doors or when you're alone, nobody's around. Like you can do these practices with your children or, in the middle of a busy room. Like people think that you have to have everything slowed down and quiet in order for you to do any of these things.
Yeah.
Like in order to practice mindfulness, I need to be in a quiet room with no kids and no sound. I'm like, that's not the point.
That means I would never get to do it. That's what that means.
Exactly, exactly, exactly. It's that presence. And for someone who has someone they love going through cancer themselves, what do you think we often get wrong about how to show up?
I feel like when you're going, when I was going through my daughter's journey, so many people were showing up. They didn't really know like what to do necessarily. And that is a really hard space because I mean, I can't think of something for everybody to do. yet I didn't have this, but hindsight's a beautiful thing. So I would definitely want to share what I wish I had had or had done for other people. And that was to have an advocate. I mean, I did have like groups who would communicate and so forth, but if I had an advocate, you can get apps like called My Crew. They're for when people are going through crisis, and there's an advocate, and they'll be able to like be the key person to be able to find out like what you need, whether you need someone to walk your dog or to cook meals or to do some laundry or to do pick your kids up to babysit, to do these things so that they can just do something, because people want to contribute. I'm sure you have a
Mhm.
whole team of supporters who want to be able to do something, but they don't know what to do and they don't want to overstep. So a little bit of like guidance would be, I feel like, so appreciated on both sides. But because there's so much overwhelm and communication, and respect and privacy and all of those things, I felt like I wish I'd had that app,
Mm.
because it would have been a really beautiful thing or a beautiful way. And if you think about it, it's just someone coming in and say dropping off a meal, and they could just have a quick check in. It doesn't have to be this big long, you know,
Yeah.
pressure of, of a big long-winded visit or anything like that. It can just be enough.
Hmm.
Um, and I feel like the other thing really is, once people, if they finish treatment, they may not, you never know what the journey holds for people. But I really felt like sometimes when, like after treatment finished, people felt like, oh, that's so good. How great. Yay, you're done. And I really thought that was the case too. But then, like, a tsunami aftershock just came after and after,
Hmm.
because that adaptation process of figuring out like what to make out of your life after all these things don't matter anymore and don't have meaning anymore. And it's like your life just kind of got flown in the flames. Blown in the flames? That does matter. I was going to say thrown. Yeah. And it's like it just, yeah, it gets thrown in the flames, and you've got to just make sense of like what's left.
Mm. And that's such a valid point, because when it comes to nervous system regulation, people think, well, as long as I'm regulating when I'm, triggered and dysregulated, then everything's good. It's like, well, no, the whole point is that you're never going to not get triggered or dysregulated, and you're never not going to be in fight or flight or shut down, freeze or fawn. Hopefully not as much. But the point is, okay, how can you still be with yourself in those moments? And so talk us through, because you've become quite obsessed with the nervous system as well through this journey. Um, did you know a lot about it before your daughter's diagnosis? And what sort of role did the emotions and the nervous system regulation play with you on this journey? And why has it, like, obviously become such a big part of the Cancer Dancer?
I feel like when you're in reactivity, you notice yourself doing things rather than being in it. It's like the like, and I'm like, and it's kind of like, how did I get there? Or where did this start? Like it's just such an automated thing that may not feel logical. I remember, um, so I started a parenting course, and my daughter wasn't sleeping at night, and I was learning the nervous system regulation, diaphragmatic breathing through through the parenting course, and she actually slept after she had her eye removed from cancer. So it was, so that it's kind of started me on that journey, was her sleepless nights and me not managing doing the parenting course. And then ironically, when she had the eye removed, like I needed it for like,
Hmm.
for me, just for her, to support her. So it was just this twist of fate in a way. Um, so with the freeze, I went into shock. I felt so cold. I thought I was going to die. I couldn't move. But I had to hop in an elevator, um, And because this memory came back when the elevator opened, I'd fallen asleep at the hospital when my dad was diagnosed with acute leukemia. It happened the same velocity as my daughter, like getting rushed straight to hospital, all these people there, running tests. And I go into shutdown, overwhelmed, sleep. I slept, no one could understand. My brother couldn't understand how I was sleeping when my dad, then everyone was dying basically. And I got a phone call, was told to go downstairs, and I had to hop in an elevator. When my daughter was getting the tests, I was told, we got a phone call, I was told we need to come downstairs and get in the elevator. As soon as that elevator opened for my daughter, I remembered something and my body went into freeze. And Michael was saying, come on, he hopped in, he was looking at me and he goes, Hayley, they're waiting. And I was like, I can't move. And he actually literally had to put me in the elevator. And I just like remembered that, like my nervous system remembered that.
Mm.
And it was just this, because my dad died. And I thought if I got out of that elevator, they were going to tell me the same thing about my daughter.
Wow.
It
Wow.
was
So
just,
you're that whole memory replaying. And so it happened that fast with your dad.
yeah, he got airlifted to hospital. And then they told us that his organs were shutting down and he had acute leukemia. And the
Wow.
word reality, Kim's dying.
Yeah. Yeah. And then your mom was diagnosed, and she's had cancer 3 times. She was in remission for 30 years and it's just
Mm.
recently come back. Yeah. I mean, you are put on this planet, girl, for this. Wow. And so when you created Cancer Dancer with
Sev.
Sev,
Yeah.
yes, can you just tell us a little about what you offer and what community like you're creating in the Cancer Dancer?
Yes. So the concept is from crisis to chrysalis, and it's about the transformation that is experienced, which I feel like I've touched on, making sense out of the pieces which are left afterwards, and that may be with or without a person. And it's a way to be able to grant yourself that, people say time heals all wounds, but there's a bit of myth in that one. And it just being able to reconnect, A, to your nervous system, and B, to yourself, so that you can allow that safety in the stillness or that safety in the movement, so that you can trust yourself to be able to make the next step and make the next step. And it's really about having the practices to support you. And that's the connection that I'm talking about, to be able to have the group and have that experience. And all these practices are the practices Sev did when her parents were dying, and I was doing as well. And we did it together and we're supporting each other. And we're like, how is it? So we found it in each other. And so it was like, how is this kind of like not a thing or not available? And so that sparked the curiosity and the will to share it with others and everyone, because everyone's going to know someone who was affected by cancer. That's just a reality. And I wouldn't want it to be in another generation's time, there's still nothing there. Like, it just doesn't feel right for me, if I be honest. So having that container to share the practices so that people can also understand, because I mean, there is so much in your body. I mean, emotions, working through these things, you really do need it to be a safe space and safe practice, and to have that guidance and also that gentleness as well. Because a lot of people may feel like it's like a mountain to climb or something, but it's really not. It's really not. It's just, it's such a process to trusting that it's just, piece by piece and piece by piece. And it's more about allowing and more about giving space for the transformation.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I look back on my journey with my mom going through cancer, and literally my experiences in my book, and I remember there's parts where I said I feel like I'm putting my armor on. Like I'm getting ready for the battle almost, and it's like there's no battle. And I remember when a social worker came into the house for hospice, I was so hostile and annoyed that I was like, you have nothing to offer. Like I was just so like, your job is pointless. You have nothing to offer me. And, like it's such a, because everybody obviously deals with death and dying, very different. And in those stages, there's probably a lot of anger and resentment and blame and shame and all that stuff. To have a program that is just like meet yourself where you're at, where there's nothing you have to do, it's just understanding your own experience and
Mm.
just one foot in front of the other. I think, death in itself is such a beautiful gift to this world. And I actually have a podcast. I talked to an end of life doula. So, what has cancer taught you about control, surrender, grace, when even just your parenting style and everything?
So, I mean, fuck cancer, there's a whole movement,
No.
right? And
No,
there's just
I
all
don't
of
like
that
that. It's so aggro. It's like, no, you just,
place because you're going to be angry to start with.
yeah.
But then what happens after the anger? Like,
Hmm.
I feel like fuck cancer is maybe a starting point, but
Hmm.
I'm really curious to like be after that. I really, and that because that that I was so angry for so long as a teenager. Both my parents, like I was so angry, and was sabotaging myself. I was hurting myself. I it completely put my life in a different direction, which I'm at peace with, and it had to go there. I feel that now, but with the kinesiology, there's a lot of like Chinese medicine base, and so emotions are very elemental. And so you have metal. Metal can be like guilt, um, is letting go, powerlessness, grief. Like those emotions that you're talking about are very like metal, and if metal can get really stuck in your body, and so you have to
Mm.
feel the emotions, which is like moving into the water element. But water can rust metal, so if you're
Mm.
moving with it. And if you're not moving through it, it's like you need to be able to use another element to, because that's a cycle of creation. You need to be able to control it. And so what controls it is fire. Fire can melt metal and it can shape. And there you go, shaping. We're going to go there
Mm.
again. So I really liked it. And you can mold it and so and create something different. But the fire element is about the heart. And so you also use the word armoring. And one of our taglines in Cancer Dancer is being able to like de-armor, to like live in your
Mm.
heart space, because the heart is a super powerful organ and energetically as well. I mean, it's vital for life, but energetically. And so many people don't want to feel things, that they close up and they can't feel it. And I did myself, and I have done it before, but it's learning to move with it and learning to open up and learning to give that shape as well. And so that you can move through these emotions and be able to like allow them to go through you and not hold you, and allow them to give your life shape, but also to empower you to shape them.
Mm. Yes. That you do have control over how you feel, how you show up, your essence, your energy. Doesn't mean it has to be amazing and happy and out of 10 all the time. It just means you do have power and control over you. And we always have free will. We know it's always there. We do have a choice. What would you say for you has been some of your biggest spiritual insights and or practices that carried you through your darkest moments?
I would have to say, when I went into shock and the breath work,
Mm.
actually coming when I woke up, that I was woke up and I was regulated. And I was like, oh, I'm safe. I'm not going to, like, I could feel that from where I was, like my last memory to that memory, like something happened. It was like,
Mm.
so, impalas and animals, they shake off stress. We don't, we hold it in, hold it in. And that's all my body was doing.
Mm-hmm.
I've had, and I've had that experience after giving birth. I started shaking, um, and with all the adrenaline. I was also drugged in a club, and I went to hospital, and I was shaking. Like it's a
Mm.
way that our body heals and throws all that stress off. So it was it was really about trust. Like it can be very unnerving going into that shaking space, but like that was a time where I learned to trust.
Mm.
And then a psilocybin, I I I took that for the first time in my life. All of my kids were going through genetic testing, and I felt like if this, and considering my family history, I was in a really dark place and felt like I don't know if I'm strong enough to survive this.
Mm.
And I never had psilocybin in my life, and it was just there. And I just took, I don't even know, I'd never done it. And I didn't care about anything anymore. Like I was just done with everything. Um, and I'm not a person who like trips out, or I'm probably one of those really boring people that knows what the time is, knows what the stuff, like, and like other people like doing all it. Like I'm not that person. But the mushrooms were just saying, you need to dance and you need to move. And
Mm.
we did. And then I just started crying. I was on my knees and I was like, my baby has cancer, baby has cancer. And it was just coming out. And then it was like, I was getting up and it's like I could start to feel my body. It was like I hadn't been in my body. I,
Mm.
I
You've
think,
been stuck in your head.
yeah. And so it wasn't even, I was escaping or I was actually feeling everything. I was actually integrating things that I couldn't because I had disconnected.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and what I was receiving, the messages I was receiving, and it's weird, it wasn't like a voice even, it was just a knowing, was cancer's in the past, cancer's in the present, cancer's in your face, it's in your daughter's face, and cancer's going to be in the future. You need to learn to dance with cancer. And so then I was
Mm.
just like dancing and dancing, and it went from this release to this actual tool. Like I
Mm.
just had to dance with this. And so the next day, because my next day my kids all had to go down for genetic testing, and I was just like, moving the whole way, and just like in the car, walking through the hospital.
Mm.
I had lowrider in the hospital going to the toilet, just just doing it the whole way. And, I didn't care what I looked like, but I just knew I couldn't lock up because if I locked up, I went into my head. If I went into my head, I just wasn't available. So
Mm.
I think that was a big moment that I understood the breathing and the movement. And once again, if you go to with the nervous system, fight or flight's feeling safety and you're moving. And I imagine I have to walk into a hospital where they've told me my daughter has cancer, she's losing an eye, your children might have, like I did not want to go into that building. I
Mm.
did not want to go, but I had to go. And so the armor that you talked about,
Mm.
the moving, it's actually completely the opposite because you are in like protection and for fight and everything. But I was like, I have to be open to this experience.
Mm. Yeah. So would you say that grief has transformed your intuition and deepened your spiritual practice? Because that's essentially what that is grief. Because grief is not just a death or a funeral or a passing. It's living, breathing thing every single day. We have to grieve everything that we didn't choose. If we, choose between this phone or this scrunchie and I choose a scrunchie, I have to grieve that I didn't choose that phone. Every choice comes with a loss. And grief is such a powerful tool to connect with your intuition more and to deepen your spiritual practice and your relationships that are still around. Do
Or
you
you
want
could
to?
even grieve that you didn't have a choice between the phone or the scrunchie.
Exactly. You could grieve that. And we're not taught what grief is, or we just say, oh, yeah, you cry after something, if you lose something. Like that's what we're taught. But yeah, do you want to talk more on a bit of grief?
I feel like culturally we suck at grief,
Mm,
and it's not an emotion that many people are comfortable with yet or have the language to express. I am so impressed when I hear people talk about grief and talk about their grief. Um, and just so curious about it. And I love, there's a saying that grief is really just love with nowhere to go.
mm,
I grieved Elsie Ray not having choices. I was her voice. I grieved her having this little happy little baby and then just seeing how she would go into freeze when she was on chemo. It's like she went into shutdown. And
mm,
as soon as we walked into the hospital into the through the hospital doors, she just it's like blanked out, slept like overload.
mm,
And I could and then she was scared of things and having nightmares with things. She was um, going to find some things more challenging and difficult because she's lost her eye. You know, she
mm,
didn't get to play with her siblings, and I'm missing out family when we're down having treatment. We've still got other children. And so there's just all of these things that, when you've had something throwing your life on the fire and then making everything that works, like there is just so much grief and there is just so much loss. And it really is that metal controlling. You can get so stuck in it.
mm,
Um, yeah. And you can get so stuck in that water. You can rust
mm,
that it is just, I did this meditation, Katie, and um, well, actually, there was one experience. It was 11-minute downward dog we had to do in the Kundalini training, and I was so angry, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna nail this. I'm so angry, like I'm using it, I'm using it, I'm using it, and I was shaking and then crying. Then I began wailing whilst
mm,
doing the downward, and I do not know how long I was there for. And then I just collapsed, and I cried for 3 days. For the next 3 days of the training, I was just crying and crying. And there was no memory, there was no story. It was just coming out. And then after that, my heels could touch the ground doing downward dog, and they had never touched the ground. Like I was holding something in
mhm.
there that I didn't even know. Like,
I believe it. I believe it. I fully, fully believe in that. I believe everything is emotional. Everything physical in our bodies is emotional. And I always say yoga just teaches you where inflexible and not physically, it's mentally. There's something that you're holding on to.
resistance.
Yeah, yeah, whatever it is, and it's different for everybody, and it doesn't mean that experience may or may not happen again or may not happen to somebody in order for them to have a release, but it's to just trust the process, like trust your body is
Yeah.
showing you where it needs to go. And that's a lot like trauma release exercises. So you like do a bridge pose for so long, and then you put your legs up again, and like it like they'll start to shake really fast, and that's literally releasing any stored up tension and trauma and stuff. It's just incredible what the body does.
Now when I meditate, my body can go into spontaneous trauma release and shaking. I
Amazing.
was sitting there, and I can now I'm just not even bothered by it.
Hmm.
Like, it's just it doesn't happen very often, but
Yeah.
when it comes, it's welcome. When it leaves, it's a thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Same thing with me when I go into like quite an anxious spot and I can notice like my body shaking or like my hands or my voice or whatever it is. It used to obviously freak me out and I tried to like stop it. Now I just like I breathe with it and I'm like, it's here. It's okay. Like it's fine. It's gonna pass. Nothing stays forever. And it's just it's showing me, it's giving me a message. Like, what is the message it's trying to tell me? I always say like our symptoms are not problems, they're prompts. Everything is a message. Like, what is it trying to tell you? And most of the time, it's just like, it's all good. We got you. Everything's okay. Like, just breathe. Really, really, I mean, I hate to simplify it, but it really is that simple. But it's so hard to practice in those moments of the elevation.
So simple that you have to be reminded because it's an automated response. So we have to become conscious. Otherwise, it's not a tool that we're using.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like having this great tool that a lot of people have had their whole life that they've never been aware of. And you're like, here's an instruction manual. And they're like, ah.
Yeah. Exactly. And so is that really like with Cancer Dancer, if somebody comes to you, do you want to talk about your free guide that you're giving away, the webinar that you're going to be going into, and yeah, what people can expect when they come into Cancer Dancer?
So basically, it's the map, the Cancer Dancer map, which I had mentioned with the fight, flight, freeze, fawn. And it's got whole myriad of emotions that you'll be able to identify with. And if you don't identify with them, even greater because you can put your own ones there. And it's obviously very specific to you and what you feel where you're at so that you have a starting point. And the
Hmm.
starting point and is just for you to navigate your own journey, for you to be able to go, okay, I'm here, I need to get here. And then it's a breakdown of just some tools, very basic, very light, um, tools that you can experience to take on that journey. So the webinar is just a free 60-minute, very basic. And then we offer programs, a 5-day, 21-day, and they're more specific. And that's creating the container, the support, really getting solidified on the material so that you can embody it.
Hmm.
It's really not a theoretical journey at all by any means. It's just being able to recognize the choices that you do have through your emotions, through your nervous system state, and just to be able to feel safe in your body during that. So it's the community, but it's also the wisdom that's shared because there is just so much. There is so much, and it may not necessarily be your experience, but when you witness that as well, that is such a beautiful healing within itself. And I know this because Sev and I did this and we did this together. We shared this and it really we grew more into ourselves and we got to share that and meet at a complete different place.
When my mom was going through cancer, I was 20 something. None of my friends' parents had cancer. If I knew somebody else who was going through it, and mind you, we probably wouldn't have self-soothed in the healthiest ways, but to be able to have that support system, and sometimes it is better when it's people you don't know as well, because there's not that emotional um, relationship. So you just go into it a little bit more open-minded, a little bit more free. And that is such an empowered community to have. And how amazing. Now, I'm just going to speak very highly of this because how amazing to have parents who are self-soothing and regulating themselves because we co-regulate as animals. And if you can be that regulated person for your child, like they mirror that. And
Mm,
you're not only helping yourself, and you're not only helping your child who may have the cancer, the other children as well, because they're experiencing stress too. whether they consciously or unconsciously know it, like they're going to absorb the stress of the parents. That's what we do as children. And like, such a gift. And I love, love, love the whole idea, the concept, the community. And can you tell my audience where they can find you and all that good stuff?
Yes, so we've got social media, Facebook, and we also have Instagram. And then if you'd like to shoot your email, we'll be able to send you the Cancer Dancer map, your nervous system. And then on there, we'll advertise our webinar, which will be coming up very soon.
So good. And I will put the link in the show notes for that free PDF for that link. If there's anybody out there, if a loved one or somebody they know has just had cancer.
I would I'd give them a hug. Yeah, give them a big hug. And I have done this. I've done this supermarket checkout, and it was a teenage girl, and it reminded me of myself. And I just said to her what I would say to everyone. I was like, you have all the tools inside you to get you through this. You do. And you may not feel it, you may not know it yet, you may not even believe it, but it's there, and you might go searching outside first. That's okay. But when you return inwards, I'm sure you'll find them.
Beautiful. Well, thank you again for your time, Hayley. It was so good to see you.
You too.
Bye. Thank you so much for listening to the Honest Healing Podcast. I know today's episode touched me personally because my mom passed away at the tender age of 55 from ovarian cancer. She was diagnosed with stage 4 at just the age of 53. I think I was only 23 at the time when she was diagnosed. And her mom passed away from colon cancer when I was in about 4th grade. And I just recently found out that my biological father had kidney cancer. And from his diagnosis to his passing away was a very short time in between. I personally have been very touched by cancer, but I also don't know anybody who hasn't been or who won't be. We know that cancer is very prominent, it's a real thing, and it does not discriminate amongst humans. You know what also doesn't discriminate? Your nervous system. Your nervous system is universal and fundamental to healing, especially if you yourself or somebody you know is dealing with cancer. If you want to find out more about my nervous system reboot program, it's a self-paced program that you can do online. It's more beginner friendly, but you can check it out on my website, www.katiedelmont.com. If you're interested to work with me more in a one-to-one container, let's jump on a free strategy call. Again, go to my website, work with me, drop down menu, book in that free strategy call. And this is where we work a little bit more intimate and one-to-one so we can really get to the core of what's keeping you stuck. If you want to read about my wild ride from mindlessness to mindfulness, check out my best-selling memoir, Trust the Flames, and a little announcement that I have just started on writing my second book. So I will have that second book, I'm saying it now, within the next year, a copy out there for the world. So watch this space. Till next time.